That one hurts. That one hurts. What a game. What a Sunday night football game between the New York Giants and Buffalo Bills. The Bills beat the Giants 14-9 in Buffalo. This is a game the Giants could have very well won. I did not think that that'd be the case. I thought that the Giants were going to get crushed. And instead it ends up being a crushing loss. So the Giants, the games they've lost this year have all been blowout variety, which as a fan is a lot easier to take this one. And look, I'm realistic. The chances of this Giants season turning out well are not really all that great. But if you did win this game, you could really latch onto that. And, you know, it's something that, hey, the schedule does soften up a bit coming up. There's some winnable games on the schedule. But the Giants have shown that they're incapable of getting an offensive touchdown. And yet again today, they did not get an offensive touchdown. So now that it's 13 straight quarters of no offensive touchdowns. The last time they scored one was in week 3, third quarter, Thursday Night Football, Matt Breida against San Francisco. So then they didn't score in the fourth quarter of that one, touchdown-wise, offensive touchdown-wise. Then nothing against the Seahawks, nothing against the Dolphins, nothing against the Bills. But the real big thing here is just the inability to get 1 yard. And the main points we're going to talk about, mainly the decision-making, really by Tyrod Taylor, who was the starting quarterback tonight. Daniel Jones was out, as I expected he would be with a neck injury. But the Giants' inability and just decision-making at the end of the first half, when they were up 6-0, and then the last play of the game, the Giants literally were 1 yard away from winning this football game. Buffalo was not all that good. Give the Giant defense a lot of credit. They caused a couple of turnovers. They held the Bills scoreless through 3 quarters. Nothing. In Buffalo on Sunday Night Football. The Giants are terrible on primetime, and Buffalo's a tough place. I mean, that's not an easy place to play. The Giants, 1 time of possession, had more total yards, were 10 for 19 on third downs. There's a lot there to like, but it's just pathetic how this team cannot score an offensive touchdown. They just can't do it. And the run game is non-existent. So Saquon Barkley came back tonight. I honestly would have been okay if he wanted to sit out 1 more week. Admirable of him to play. But Saquon Barkley, besides a couple of big runs on 1 drive, did absolutely nothing. And part of it is because he's probably rushing his way back. Part of it's the offensive line, which did honestly hold up. The offensive line did hold up in this game. And Justin Pugh, who would have thought? So not only did Justin Pugh start tonight, originally at left guard, he ended up playing most of the night at left tackle and did okay. So good for Justin Pugh. Who having gone to Syracuse myself, we were we were there at the same time. So Justin Pugh, who's a good dude, a nice guy who I've gotten to meet a couple of times years ago, did a really good job. And so Josh Ezeudu got hurt, was carted off the field. That looks like it's probably going to be somewhat of a serious injury for Ezeudu. Lower body injury. I'm not sure if it was a foot or leg injury, but didn't look great. So Pugh moves over to left tackle. Originally, the alignment was Ezeudu, Pugh, Bredesen, Glowinski, Neal. But then what ends up happening is they move Pugh over to left tackle. Glowinski from right guard to left guard, and McKeithen comes in to play right guard. So I believe Lemieux was healthy and was just on the bench. Jalen Mayfield was the swing tackle, but clearly they were more comfortable going with Pugh, who hadn't played in an NFL game at tackle since 2019. But I thought held up. Tyrod Taylor did a decent job. Honestly, like he was able to move the offense. However, what he did at the end of the first half is it kind of just ruins everything. It does. And we'll talk about it because, there's a lot to discuss in this game, like a lot. Defensively, injury-wise, Azeez Ojulari placed on IR. The guy can't stay healthy. He can't stay healthy. That 2021 draft, the last one by Gettleman, that one's not looking too good. And we can say that for a lot of Giant drafts. That one is not looking good, really, at all. So Ojulari is going to be out at least 4 weeks. Who else was out? McFadden was back, and we'll talk about McFadden. He made a positive impact in this game. So McFadden was back in there. Let's see, who were the... I think the injured players were Daniel Jones, Andrew Thomas, DJ Davidson was out, so Jordan Riley was active in this game. Healthy scratches were Javarius Owens and I believe Bobby McCain. But yeah, in terms of the injuries, I think those were most of them. So they were kind of short in terms of edge rush. So Leonard Williams was kind of more on the outside than than inside, and I thought that Dexter Lawrence, and Leonard Williams did a decent job in this game. Kayvon Thibodeau, again, for me, there's a lot to be desired there for Kayvon Thibodeau. He was close to getting to Josh Allen, but Allen was able to escape. Josh Allen really didn't have a great game. He was 19 for 30. The Bills should have ran the ball more. I thought they were having success in the run game, but they decided to throw it. Stephon Diggs was good, 10 catches, 100 yards, doing his usual thing, but Deonte Banks did a pretty good job against Gabe Davis. Adoree Jackson, who got hurt at one point, came back in, and he did a solid enough job. But, again, this isn't on the defense. This isn't. Even though, look, obviously they had their struggles in the second half. They held in the 14 points. The offense's inability to score a touchdown is what kills this team. And they are one of the worst offenses in football. I think the only one that maybe rivals them is New England. I think that's one where we can have an argument there. But even today, I think the Patriots scored 17. They got a couple of touchdowns today. That's more than the Giants can say for the last 4 weeks. So just completely embarrassing as far as that goes. So this was and I'm sure some fans are already somewhat checked out, and I'm usually one of them that kind of, is more on the, hey, let's get some losses. Let's maybe try to look at that. And but you want to have something to root for the rest of the season. And it's trying. It really, really is. So this was a tough loss, but let's talk about it because there really is a lot to discuss. So, hey, the Giants defense gets off to a good start right away. Right away, they cause a 3-and-out. And it's going to be interesting, really. For this game, there's going to be a lot more sort of play-by-play talk. Whereas I think in the last, 5 weeks, it's been more holistic. I mean, the Cardinal game, probably, because that was close. But they won that game, so you kind of view it differently. But this one, we're going to talk about a lot of the ins and outs. And please like and subscribe. I know it's been tough, but I'm going to provide a lot of Giants content to get us through what unfortunately seems like it's going to be a tough season. Still going to be a lot of interesting storylines, and, we'll certainly appreciate all of you being along for the ride, and we'll try to get through this together. So, Bills go 3-and-out to start, and so the Giants defense off to a good start, but the Giants offense themselves, not much going on. And again, here another example, and this is the theme, not being able to get a yard. And the Giants didn't even try the tush push, which is, the Eagle play. Giants didn't even try. After it was unsuccessful against the Seahawks and Schmitz got hurt and it was just a disaster, they didn't even go back to it. I kind of think that they're protecting Tyrod from injury, a little bit of the decision making, because we have seen Tyrod, he is susceptible to injury, especially concussions and things like that. I mean, if you disagree with me, I understand it, because it's a little bit of an out there take, but I do think that there's, in part, A, they don't trust the offensive line, and B, I think with Tyrod at quarterback and with the quarterback situation being what it is, I think that's a little bit in play. But it's still very disappointing, the fact that they cannot just go under center and pick up a yard, whether that be QB sneak, whatever it might be. They cannot do it. So on a 3rd and 1, Saquon loses 2 yards, and Saquon's got to be quicker to the hole. It's just frustrating. I know he's coming back from injury. I know that. But still, Saquon Barkley, you got to get some of those tough yards. You have to. So the Bills get the ball back, and they move the ball a little bit. However, 2nd and 10 at the Buffalo 46, Allen to Gabe Davis for 9 yards, but Bobby Okereke, who was honestly probably the player of the game for the Giants. Okereke was fantastic. Causes the fumble, recovered by Micah McFadden, and that was the first of a combination of Okereke kind of causing the turnover and McFadden being the one to kind of secure the ball. We'll talk about another one that happens soon. But yeah, Okereke was just really, really good. And I've been a little bit critical of him, but this was a good game for Bobby Okereke. I should also mention that this was a homecoming for Brian Dable, who who has roots. I think I think that there's roots just in general, family wise, to upstate New York, or or not so much upstate New York, but I guess Western New York. But yeah, it was really he was the offensive coordinator. That's how he got the Giant head coaching job. His success with Josh Allen was really the reason why teams were so interested in Brian Dable. And man, it's hard to defend him. Him and Mike Kafka, it's hard to defend right now. This was not a good game for them. Just way too conservative, and it's very disappointing. And we'll talk about those things. But anyway, Giants get the ball, decent field position, and they settle for 3. Now, this one I don't have, like this one, whatever. Some of the big plays here, Tyrod Taylor to Darius Slayton, the 27-yard catch was a big one on a fade. Some good chemistry there between Tyrod and Darius Slayton. And Darius Slayton is really the number 1 wide receiver on the Giants, as much as certainly on the outside and a big play threat. Although, of course, Jalen Hyatt, not to take anything away from Jalen Hyatt, who was more involved tonight, and also not to take away anything from Wan'Dale Robinson, who is a chain mover and, is certainly someone that's been productive. Paris Campbell's been basically taken out of this offense, and deservedly so. And Isaiah Hodgins as well. I don't think he made a catch. I don't even know if there was anything thrown at him. To me, it was really, from what I could tell, Hyatt and Slade on the outside, Robinson on the inside with, of course, Waller. And of course, Sterling Shepard has no role. So, that's the wide receiver sort of outlook and depth chart. So, yeah, there's a Wan'Dale Robinson first down, and on that first down is when Azudu gets hurt. And there was a tough adjustment there, I felt, once Azudu came out. However, a Giant drive continues on an unnecessary roughness penalty on Buffalo, so they get first and goal at the 9, but then nothing from there, just ugliness, sacks and penalties and nothing. So it ends up in a Graham Gano 29-yard field goal, gives the Giants a 3-0 lead. Then the Bills get one big play to Stephon Diggs, and then Latavius Murray with the run where Adoree Jackson gets hurt. Again, he would return. It was a neck injury, I believe. He ran into Xavier McKinney, so a little friendly fire with a teammate collision. But hey, the Giants hold them. They could have gone field goal, but they end up punting. And so they punted away. And so the Giants, at 1:29 left in the first quarter of Game 6, finally had the lead with the ball. Finally. And so, that gets lost in the shuffle, but yeah. But unfortunately, they go 3 and out. Second quarter rolls around, and the Bills, they go 3 and out themselves. So again, Giant defense really doing a nice job, but it's just kind of not a whole lot's going on as well as the Giants on their next drive. Pretty unfortunate. So first off, a penalty, a pretty bad penalty on special teams by Darnay Holmes, where the Giants would have had not great field position, but decent. I guess they would have had 35, actually. But Darnay Holmes takes a penalty, and then you think you have a nice Tyrod Taylor to Jalen Hyatt play for 43 yards. They call Evan Neal for an eligible man downfield. Kind of thought that was questionable. And again, the officiating tonight was not great, I felt. I'm not making it a big storyline. I didn't think it was a huge deal, but did not like that Evan Neal call. Although Daboll, I think he might have agreed with the call because he was talking to Evan Neal when he got off the field and talking to him. And normally if Daboll's pissed, he'll be in the ref's face. But me personally, just seeing it, seemed like it was a ticky-tack call. And so eventually what that leads to is the Giants going 3 and out. It just put them, set them up in a bad way. And so the Bills get the ball back down 3. But again, the Giant defense does a decent job. James Cook gets a couple of really nice runs, puts the Bills in semi-field goal range, and eventually Tyler Bass, who had a rough night, misses a 52-yard field goal wide right, which Bills fans don't remember so fondly from Super Bowl 25. But again, that was a while ago. Anyway, we go, okay, so at this point, it's 3-0 Giants. They get the ball back with decent field position, and now Darren Waller's starting to get involved a little bit more. He has a 20-yard catch. Waller didn't do a whole lot, but he ends up being a big part of the storyline by the end of this. Wan'Dale Robinson, I like what I've seen from Wan'Dale. Again, was it worth the second-round pick? No. I don't think it was, but I think he's, someone that has been pretty effective in this offense, considering it really hasn't been very good. So where this drive turns I guess first off, negative 2-yard run for Saquon at the 19-yard line of Buffalo. Giants then have to call a timeout. And then coming out of the timeout, they're rushing and it ends up being a legal shift. Like, that's where it's like, how is that happening? You just call the timeout and then you're taking forever and then it leads to an illegal shift. And so it never gets quite right. And Graham Gano ends up with a 43-yard field goal. So 6-0 Giants. Then the Giants cause another turnover. And at this point, they're in Giant territory, Buffalo. But it's a pass deflected by Bobby Okereke. It was intended for Dawson Knox, the tight end, and into the arms of Micah McFadden. So again, that Okereke-McFadden combination leads to a Giant turnover. And this is going to be tough to talk about. Giants have the ball. At this point, they have 2 timeouts left. It's about the 2-minute warning or so. And you get a big play to Darius Slayton to put themselves in a position of 1st and 10 at the 21. Then a 9-yard run for Saquon, then no gain Saquon. It's shit like that, right? Where things are going pretty well. And so with 47 seconds left is when that play to Saquon happens, no gain. So Brian Daboll kind of slow plays it. He calls the timeout. In hindsight, he probably wishes he called it sooner because he didn't want the Bills to get the ball back, but he also wanted his team to have enough time to maybe get a touchdown. So he kind of in betweened it. He probably should have called the timeout immediately. He let time go off the clock and he calls with 30 seconds left. Then Eric Gray gets a 2-yard gain. So that's good they got the first down, but it's bad because now the Giants burn their final timeout with 24 seconds left. So not a great spot to be in where, okay, you're at the 10, there's 24 seconds left, but you got no timeouts left. What ends up happening? On the 2nd and 10, it's a pass interference in the end zone. It was drawn by Slayton. And so now you have 1st and goal at the 1 with 14 seconds left. So this is the big part of the game. Although, of course, we're going to talk about the last play of the game, which literally determined everything. But this was the fucking play. 1st and goal at the 1, 14 seconds left. You can't run. You have no timeouts left. You really can't run. And if you do run, you better have fucking urgency to snap to fucking spike that ball. And I didn't see that at all. So what happens is, Tyrod Taylor, so the call is a pass. Tyrod Taylor sees something that he thinks can work for a run, so he audibles out of it into the run. And apparently Daboll told Taylor, do not run. Do not run. And he did it anyway. So I thought that this was a mostly positive game from Tyrod Taylor. As a backup, he operated the offense. He didn't turn the ball over. He gave them a chance to win. This is unacceptable, though. And, of course, the Giants can't get a fucking yard. Saquon Barkley, no gain. And the clock's just ticking and ticking and ticking, and the half ends. They get nothing. You could have basically had 2 pass plays at 14 seconds left. Instead, you decide for 1 run. You had to know Tyrod Taylor has to know going in there that if I do this run play, there's a good chance that the half is over. You can't do it. You can't do it. Now, look, if there were 4 seconds left, then I can accept it. Then I could have maybe accepted. It's like, all right, here it is. We know at this point that this is the last play of the half. With 14 seconds left, come on. You can't do it, especially when you have shown no ability to run. How many times did I talk about how they cannot gain a yard? You can't do that. So that right there was a disaster. One of the worst Giant plays I've seen in some time, and there's been some bad ones, but that will be a memorable one for me. That end of the half fuck up will be very memorable. So the Giants go into halftime up 6-0. What could have been maybe 12-0. What could have been, or 13-0, or 14-0. Hell, maybe even 9-0 in a weird world. Maybe 9-0 ends up being 6-0, where the Giants really controlled the half, did a really nice job, and that's all they had to show for it. So what happens from here on out is the Giants, as we know, can't cash in for a touchdown, and the Bills' offense very methodically is able to get the job done. So the defense, as good as they were in the first half, look, they were not great in the second half, but I can't be too critical of them. So anyway, Giants start with the ball in the second half, and you get a Wan'Dale Robinson 13-yard catch. What else happens here? A couple of Wan'Dale Robinson third down catches to lead to firsts. But ultimately, where the drive goes wrong, you get 1st and 10 of the Buffalo 43, Saquon for 2 yards, then Tyler Taylor fumbles the ball and he recovers it. That was just a self-inflicted wound. And then Tyrod scrambles for 3 yards. So now it's at the ball, now the Giants have to punt it away. So that was too bad. We're at least, all right, maybe we'll get some points here to kind of take away the pain of what happened in the first half. Doesn't happen. Then the Bills get the ball. It ends up being a 17-play, 89-yard drive, 9 minutes and 58 seconds. This is a long, methodical drive. Let's see. There weren't that many third down. Like, there weren't that many tough third down conversions. One that comes to mind, well, it was 3rd and 6 of the Giant 32. And really, a lot of good runs. James Cook, Latavius Murray. I should mention Damian Harris got hurt. Kind of a scary situation. I think he's okay, though. But he, was taken out in an ambulance. So hope he's okay. Stephon Diggs, 7-yard catch for Stephon Diggs to give the Bills a first down. Latavius Murray with a nice run. More Latavius Murray. Eventually, it's a 3rd and 2 at the 5. The Bills convert that first down, and then they don't score right away. A couple of plays, Latavius Murray is stuffed. And so you start the fourth quarter, 3rd and goal at the 3, and this is what you wish the Giants could do. This was the difference in the game. The Bills, they had 2 red zone opportunities. They got 2 touchdowns. They maximized those chances. The Giants had 5 red zone attempts, 0 touchdowns. So what happens here? Josh Allen to Deontay Hardy, 3-yard touchdown. Wide open. Just, a well-schemed play, but, the Giants fucked up. He shouldn't have been left wide open like that, but that's what happens, and the Bills take a 7-6 lead. So now the Giants are able to retake the lead, but even this drive was a disappointment. And I should mention, Paris Campbell stupidly takes the ball out of the end zone. And so the problem with taking the ball out of the end zone there is that, A, it's hard to get to the 25 in the first place, and what you do is, A, you might fumble it, and B, good chance there might be a holding penalty. That's exactly what happened. A holding penalty on Cam Brown, so the Giants start at their 10. Do not return the ball. Like, especially with how bad the Giants special teams is, do not return the ball. And Eric Gray earlier did something stupid like that. But Saquon Barkley had his best drive, 19-yard run, 34-yard run. The run game was good on this drive, but ultimately it fizzles out, just as anything else with this Giant offense. So 2nd and 3 at the Buffalo 13, Matt Breida with a 2-yard run, which isn't great, which is okay, but not great. So now 3rd and 1 at the Buffalo 11, they're in shotgun, and it ends up being an incomplete pass. Tyrod Taylor, pressured, has to throw it away. They were never even under center, and then they just take the 3. I would have gone for it. 4th, I know that we can't convert, but like, what is a field goal really doing for you there? So they settle for a 29-yard field goal to take the lead, 9-7. That was a fuck up. That was a nice drive that you got to go for it there. So, okay, so you miss. Now Buffalo's the ball. I mean, like, frustrating. So now Buffalo with their second good drive. This would be a 12-play, 75-yard drive, 6 minutes and 47 seconds. A big 3rd down conversion on a play where Adoree Jackson's called for defensive holding. So, and it looked like it was the right call. Then Stephon Diggs, a 14-yard catch. James Cook is in the mix. Stephon Diggs played a big role on this drive. And eventually, what's his name? Quentin Morris, I think. I think it's Quentin Morris. I'd never heard the guy until tonight. It was a very risky play by Josh Allen, honestly, but he fits it in there to Morris for a 15-yard touchdown. So it's 14-9 Bills at this point. So now the Giants, with what we thought might be the last drive, but it wasn't actually. They would get a first down from Taylor to Waller. And let's fast forward. Like, they rushed a play. So 2nd and 5 at the 41, close to the 2-minute warning. And they probably should have just let it go to the 2-minute warning. Instead, they rushed a run play to Barkley for -3 yards. Just not good. Not good at all. Then Tyrod Taylor tries to go deep twice, which he goes deep to Jalen Hyatt, who's at least double covered, if not triple covered. And it was a decent throw by Taylor, but it would have taken a miracle to work, and he had Wan'Dale Robinson open underneath, so not a smart play there. And then Tyrod Taylor goes deep to Darius Slayton, tight coverage, and Slayton can't come down with it. So at that point, you think it's probably over, but not so fast. The Bills end up going 3 and out, including an incomplete pass from Allen to Dawson Knox. So it leads to Tyler Bass with about a minute and a half left in the game, going for a field goal. And he misses again, wide right again for 53 yards. So the Giants now have 1 timeout left, down 5 with a minute and 25 seconds to go. And eventually they would get down there. It would take some time, some slow plays, out of bounds plays. You know, there were not many big, there's not even much to really say, but they were kind of able to keep it going. Giants called their final timeout with 45 seconds left. And there's a big first down conversion. So 4th and 5 of the Buffalo 27, Tyrod Taylor hangs in there and finds Jalen Hyatt for 12 yards. They spike the ball. So now it's 2nd and 10 at the 15 with 9 seconds left. So you figure 2 shots at the end zone. However, Tyrod Taylor scrambles for 6 yards out of bounds at the Buffalo 9. So now you're thinking, okay, never mind. Actually, 1 chance at the end zone. But never mind again to that, because what could have been the last play of the game, Taylor to Darren Waller called defensive pass interference on Buffalo, which is the right call. So now here it is. 0 seconds left. 1 more play. This is the game. 1 yard to go. And I didn't feel good about it, but the fact that they were even in this position, wow, they are 1 yard, 1 play away from on Sunday Night Football going to Buffalo and winning. It's the same formation as that end of first half play, but this time they threw the ball, and it was to Darren Waller as it had been the play before. Waller, tight coverage against Johnson, number 7 on the Bills. It probably should have been called for defensive pass interference or holding, but it wasn't. And Taylor to Waller, unsuccessful, game over. So look, the fact that they called the penalty of the play before, I knew they weren't going to call it twice. It was a penalty. It was. You've seen that called. Sometimes it's not. It wasn't like it was 100% blatant, but it probably should have been called. But I'm not going to make a big deal about that. Giants lose 14-9. And that was really a stinging loss, a very winnable game against a good team. A good team that really, honestly, doesn't look all that impressive. And so maybe they're slightly overrated. But, it's just too bad because, again, you look at the next, let's just say 3 games. And could the Giants lose all 3 of them? Oh, absolutely. But you play the Commanders, the Jets, and the Raiders, the next 3. And let's take it a step further. Then you're at Dallas, then you play the Commanders again, then the Patriots, the Packers, the Saints. That's your winnable stretch. And if you could have been 2-4 going into it, honestly, you have every reason to believe that if you get healthier, Andrew Thomas comes back and some other things break your way, that you're certainly in the conversation. Now, at 1-5, it is a total long shot. Crazier things have happened. Really, for the Giants to make the playoffs, they got to go at least 8-3 the rest of the way. How would that possibly happen? This team cannot score an offensive touchdown, and that's the theme. It's not being able to score an offensive touchdown, and it's not being able to get a single yard on multiple occasions when you have to. So that is the talk. That the end of first half sequence and the last play of the game. That's where it comes back to haunt the New York Giants. So. A lot of questions to be answered by Brian Daboll and company. We'll see what next week holds. I don't know about Daniel Jones' status. My gut tells me he's out. But it feels like he won't be out for long. It does feel like he'll be back somewhat soon. But, yeah, that Commander game next week, the Washington's 3-3. They won at Atlanta earlier today. And we'll see what happens. I think the Giants season is basically over, but if they lose next week to Washington, it's really done. It's at that point, you could definitely stick a fork in them. It would be truly over at that point. But that's not even, I'm not even trying to get wrapped up in standings and record. It's so much. It's about an offense that just can't really do much. It is a bad offense any way you look at it, and it's just very disappointing. This season had a lot higher hopes than this, and we'll see what happens the rest of the way. Again, Giants lose on primetime again. This was their 4th primetime game in their first 6. Luckily, we won't be seeing them on primetime for quite some time, and that is probably a very welcome sight. So, Giants lose their first, real heartbreaker of the season. They lose at 14-9 at Buffalo. They will come home as a 1-5 team to take on their division foe, the Washington Commanders.